Mayor McLean, you're back.
It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
You are the only third interview mayor I've ever interviewed. This is
the third interview mayor.
The third interview mayor. I did do 2 interviews with former Mayor Jason Pierce of Eagle, and then actually, I suppose he was still technically mayor after you have mayor-elect. And then, because he had lost.
Yeah,
okay,
so an exit interview type thing.
Yeah, something like that. It was wild because Fox News online had got a hold of him. It was this big brouhaha. I was like, why does Fox News care about Eagle, Idaho? Like, what's going on? Anyway, but you're here. You are not, the outgoing mayor. This is not an exit interview. We are here talking about public works, water, public lands. I toured the Boise Public Works Water Center just 2 days ago.
Yeah, I love that you did that.
Oh, dude, it was wild.
And you went through the museum and stuff too?
Yeah, they have that little sand thing, by the way, that you can cool. Scrape and make the canals. I
really like that a lot.
Super cool. But finding out that there's a zero net, there's essentially a zero net waste system for human waste coming out of the Boise area. And again, the director, Burgos, right?
Yep.
Steve Burgos.
Yeah, Steve.
Explained it super well. He's like, look, essentially we take human waste, right? And I was like, oh, and we take it. We start separating everything out, and they extract water through filtration mechanisms, and they deliver that water back for industrial use for things like Micron. Now, again, Micron would have been cleaned up. Obviously, Micron would have been pulling off the tap of the water that you and I use, but instead they're taking this waste stream, producing functional, obviously water that can be used for industrial uses. We're not drinking it, but it's industrial uses. And then they have this whole process with the sludge left over to make into fertilizer. Yeah. That they then use on their own
on our
farm that's 20 miles away, coined the 20-mile farm, which I thought was very, very creative. And you have 4,500 acres. They use the fertilizer on the farm, and then they deliver that produce that they actually grow there to feedstock in the agriculture. Yep. And he's like, the only thing left over. Yeah, he was like, it's not 100% closed because you have some grit left. He's like sand, kind of think tiny gravel, dust. So you have a tiny bit of something, and maybe they'll find a gravel center that wants it. I don't know. But the point is, that blew me away. Talk about stretching a resource to its absolute capacity, because we can't get more water, right? We can do some things, but stretching our resource farther and farther and farther is, man, it's wild times. So on the levy coming up, we have public lands, parks, public works. Talk to me about what's happening.
Well, yeah. And first, I do want to follow up on your visit to the water center, because it's a fun place to go to. It's free. It's open for kids. You saw all the different activities they can do while there, but it's also right next to where we are cleaning water. So you described the system so well. And out at the 20-mile farm, yes, we're using the biosolids, if you will, to fertilize, and then we're growing stuff that gets used. But that's also where you might have seen, if you didn't visit yet. But we have our composting facility out there too. So all of this work, you can clump it in climate, you can clump it in resilience. I think of it as just common sense, taking advantage of the resources that we have to make sure that we're prepared in the future to stretch them as far as possible. And so Boiseans have always leaned in and wanted us to do that. So out where we grow crops for animals, we also have our composting facilities where, nearly 100% of Boiseans are taking advantage of our free composting program, where you get a cart for the street, you put all of your food waste in it. Now we can put meat and stuff in it too, and even your grass clippings. So all that goes into a cart that's the size of your garbage can, gets taken away, creates compost out there, and then neighborhoods can organize a big drop-off in the neighborhood so everybody can use the compost in their gardens. We've got spots around the city where residents can pick it up for free. So we're thinking creatively about how we reuse as many things to save money in the long run, because that stuff's not going into the landfill.
I didn't know that you guys have a finished compost system.
We do, yeah. And then on the clean water piece, when you mentioned the recycling and reusing of water for industrial uses like Micron, in 2021, Boiseans, nearly 82%, just under 82% of Boiseans voted yes on a clean water and climate action bond that allowed us to take our water renewal plan that we had developed with resident feedback and actually put it into action. So Steve might have told you, he'll probably talk about it next week. We've purchased land. We are building a new water recycling facility so that drinking water doesn't have to be used for industrial purposes, and instead we'll be able to clean it and provide it out again so it can be used again, and we can save drinking water for people
that want to be drinking.
Yep. And I got to thank the residents of Boise for being so forward thinking, for recognizing how making investments today sets us up in the long run to be more successful and resilient as a community. We're going to thrive because we're creating opportunity today that'll carry us into the future. And this fall, Boiseans have a chance to vote yes again on a levy that would support open space, clean water, pathways, parks, and even make it possible for us to do more fire mitigation. In 2001, the Boiseans voted for a levy, so we saved so many of the foothills up above the city. In 2015, they voted for a levy that was both open space and clean water, and we've been able to do river restoration projects with those funds in partnership with nonprofits, acquire pathways and parks throughout the city. And so this is a chance for us to build on that legacy, do it again, make it possible to kind of make more progress in our goal of making it possible for every kiddo in the city to walk safely to a park within 10 minutes. And invest in pathways and, of course, more open space throughout the city.
When you talk about fire mitigation, this is actually something I just had the president of the Professional Firefighters Union on the show this morning, and Rob Shoplock. Really enjoy him. Great guy. And not only did I have him on, but a week ago, my house there was that foothill fire.
Were you near that?
I was videoing it from my front yard.
Well, you probably should choose not to video and instead get in your car and leave safely.
Well, the family evacuated. I had the dogs. I turned on the front sprinklers, and then I ran around checking all my gutters to make sure there were no. And then it was like, okay, am I leaving? And then I ultimately did get in my car and wait near 55 and just say okay, if they get because I didn't want to flood the freeway. It's like, listen, if they give me the go, I'll go. Yeah. And understanding that we have this very tricky system with urban wildland interface where we have these brush fires that'll come in and then they abruptly hit the urban interface where all of a sudden we have houses. So you go from okay, we need to stop this because it's grazing land and, we don't like fires in our foothills to, oh my God, life and property right here. Sure. And it's my understanding that a portion of or an aspect of this levy project is okay, if we have control over this land that's part of the interface coming into the Boise area, then you would be able to make fire prevention decisions within that area to essentially be this slowdown. So say there's a fire coming in from the foothills, if it hits that area that obviously is in question and it has been set up, that area has been set up in a way to break up fires with fire breaks, with different paths, trails, all of these things, then you won't have this, oh my God, we have to stop at this second, or send everyone there.
And there's a couple of things to that. Of course, having that buffer is important. And in past projects with the last levy that we've done related to fire mitigation and cleanup was, taking lots of volunteers and planting native plants,
right.
Addressing the weeds that are up there, working with Boise State to figure out what's where and what needs to be planted so that you have a healthier landscape that behaves differently in fire than when you've got hills that are just full of cheatgrass. So there's that.
Right.
We've seen in many communities when you have these neighborhoods built just way up into the hills, there's more and more fire risk. It becomes much more difficult to stop the fire once it starts. And so just having fewer homes up in that open space, so having funds to acquire open space so that everybody can use it rather than build in it, also creates that fire break for our communities. So
I did not understand the full scope of this project. That makes a whole lot of sense, which is let's acquire this as a fire buffer. We can use it. We can preserve it.
I mean, we use it for other things.
Yeah,
no. But effectively, multi-use. It makes our neighborhoods
this is
more
really
safe.
important. Having a multi-use property, which is it is a fire buffer. Yeah, it is different trails. Yes, it is preservation so that we don't have more housing up there and we can enjoy the beautiful nature of the Boise area. But again, it has a very pragmatic. If you're worried about fire, fire prevention and the durability of the community is part of it.
Yeah. It is part of it. But then another big part of this levy is it would allow the city to work with nonprofits like we have in the last levy, the Golden Eagle Audubon Society. And there was about 40 to 50 acres where we really, they put in a proposal and were funded, really concentrated on habitat restoration along the Boise River. And so it was in between Lucky Peak and I want to say the Park Center Bridge. I can't remember which bridge, but kind of in the eastern part of Boise along the river. They put together a proposal, and we were able to bring in so many volunteers. So a way to engage residents in taking care of the place we love with funds from the levy made possible by residents to protect Boise, to then protect the Boise River. We'll look for more opportunities like that. And that was with the Golden Eagle Autobahn? Yes. Excuse me. And then Parks and Pathways are part of this. So with the last levy, we've acquired some smaller properties, throughout the city. So this allows us to invest throughout Boise, not just in the foothills, that advances our goal of making it possible for every kid to walk 10 minutes to a park. So we've got those heat maps. We know 74% of Boiseans now can walk safely to a park parcel within 10 minutes, but that means 26% can't. So still working on that goal using heat maps, and this levy will provide the opportunity, if the opportunity rises, to be able to expand that park's footprint. And then we've got that great pathways plan that identifies 112 miles of paths along canals, ditches, laterals, and drains through neighborhoods, and this would help us advance that too.
When you're talking about the acquiring parks, if the opportunity comes up, so essentially a portion of this would be earmarked to be like, okay, put that in a savings account, and then
all of it is in a savings account. So
gotcha.
If Boiseans say yes to the levy, it's for the average Boise homeowner $40 a year for just 2 years, so $80. And
wait, back up. For the average homeowner, it's only an $80 total
for over
cost.
2 years. Yep, so $40 a year, cup of coffee a month. And
I thought it was going to be like $10 a month for like the rest of your life.
That raises $11 million over 2 years. That goes into an account that will be used strictly for open space, clean water projects, parks acquisition, pathways development. And that's what we're building on the legacy that Boiseans before us began, and we want to follow through with it, where in 2001 and again in 2015, similar steps were taken to create a savings account so that we could make investments in our future. And we want to do it again. We're asking Boise to vote yes in November.
This is distinct from something, say, like a local option tax, in that this money would be earmarked specifically for these things. So it's not like you could fundraise off of the sentiment of like, we're going to do more parks, we're going to do more trails, clean water, the whole thing. And then you're like, actually, let's just dump it over here.
Correct. And the ballot language actually requires that we have an audit conducted on the expenses every year and a report given to the public annually so that the public can see how we're investing their dollars.
What are concerns you have with people that are not in favor of this? Because again, I've spoken to some people and they're like, it's just another thing. I'm like, well, and I'm not a Boise resident. So it's like, if you feel that way, that's fine. It's none of my affair. Like, I'm not voting for it. I do stand to benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, you do.
But like, what are the concerns that people have that you've heard about it besides, obviously the fiscal impact of roughly $80 over 2 years for the average person?
Yeah. We know that folks are feeling the impact of cost of housing, cost of living here. And when we take hard looks at our budget and the impacts of the kind of increases, that 3% increase that we're allowed to take every year, if we take it, the impact that has on the average homeowner. And there are so many things that we have to do, the basics, right? Like police and fire, that in budget constrained times, we can't walk away from, and we won't. And so this is a way to continue to do more in alignment with what Boiseans have asked us to do, which is continue to invest in places for families and friends and individuals to gather, get outside, rest, relax, get to know their neighbors, connect with the place they love. And so we were really mindful about being realistic about what we could do with the money that would be raised from it, and wanted to be careful and conservative really about what we asked for, so that it would work for the average homeowner, and so that the value that we all get from being able to jog over or push a carriage over to a pathway to then walk along a canal to then get to a park, the value we get from jumping in our car and driving across town, parking in a trailhead and toddling with our littles, right, and getting them out into the foothills is like core to who we are as Boiseans, and I believe so worth that cup of coffee a month, and believe that Boiseans have agreed and want us to keep this up. As long as we spend the money well, are prudent in our investments, report transparently to the public every year how we're spending the money and how we're all benefiting from the smart decisions of folks before us that have passed levies, and that I hope people today will too. And then as we grow, continue to protect this place that we love, and keep at Boise's core that connection to the place that we call home possible, as more and more people call Boise home.
This is also something that stands to benefit not just people in the way that they're like, okay, we have this more open space, but it's geographically dispersed throughout the areas with things like improving parks, right? So homeowners in areas that don't have parks right now stand to benefit, because if there is an opportunity for a park to be developed there, then all of a sudden everything is better in their neighborhood as well.
Well, and that's what I would say that my Pathways plan and the goals that we set to over time implement the Pathways plan, that identifies 112 miles of paths, pretty much, as I like to say, connecting the farmland to our foothills and everything in between. And then our parks goal of the 10-minute walk to a park, guided by those two plans and goals, we're making decisions on where we invest. And inevitably, what it has meant is we're investing where parks aren't, because kids can't walk to an area within 10 minutes.
Right.
We're investing where pathways aren't. And that spreads the investment throughout the city. This levy will help us move further along with the goals that we have.
That's good stuff. I know that housing is, again, we've spoken about housing twice now, but one of the things that people brought up is that having more housing, even if it's in the foothills, would take the pressure off of, cost of housing in general. That trade for you, which is, hey, look, man, okay, yeah, we need more housing. We're just not going to do it here. Do you think that's a sufficient enough trade? There's listen, it's not going to have
honestly, it's the landowner's decision, right? I mean, if we have, and we saw this in the first levy in particular, the Boise residents said, yes, let's try to do this. So the money was raised. But then the market's got to respond. A landowner's got to decide that they'd rather, in Boise's case, so far in the last 20 years, gift some and sell more. So it's really up to that landowner as to whether or not they want to, seek building homes or sell their land and put it in trust for perpetuity for our kids and grandkids to enjoy. I am 100% in agreement with you that more homes are necessary. We need more homes throughout this region in a slightly different development pattern so we can fit more homes together, create tighter knit neighborhoods, have more folks more easily be able to move from home to work. And, we've done a lot of work, you and I have talked about it the last 5 years, in Boise, can't do the region, but in Boise, to create the roadmap, a market-based approach, a roadmap for folks to get more homes on the ground more quickly, as well as a whole bunch of creative incentives and public-private partnerships to see more homes. We're still working on it. That goal doesn't go away. I believe that, yes, you can protect open space and have parks and pathways and create the roadmap for more homes for Boiseans and Boise budgets.
This levy, total dollar figure, $20 million?
11.
Oh, that's not that bad at all.
It's $40 a year for the average homeowner.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to add? I know you're tight on time today.
Yeah, I'm tight on time. I got to go do a couple more things. I really appreciate the chance to come back in.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have a great conversation with Steve Burgos. He leads a super creative department, our public works department, which, I mean, it's so interesting. It's like the geekiest stuff, but it's the most exciting stuff, because that's where you see our clean water work, our climate action, our geothermal system, so much innovation and creation of tools for the future that is making it possible for us to serve Boiseans in unique and really efficient ways. He's at the helm of that department with a super motivated, passionate, smart team that serves Boise day in, day out.
That's I'm really pumped. I'm actually going to see a geothermal power plant next week.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
That's great.
super excited about it. And I didn't know that he was in charge of the geothermal like heating systems here. I'm like dying to see these things. I don't know why they're so interesting.
There's one
to
in
me.
Boise's basement. You should ask him for a tour.
I should. Oh my gosh, this building that we're sitting in is heated by geothermal. Like
89 buildings downtown are, and there are 17 on a waiting list.
Dude, this is so wild. Again, creativity, it's bonkers. Thank you for coming on for a third time. We'll do it again.
Thanks.